Coming up in this Friday's episode of Circle Back.
I am the best college football bettor out there. I'm the best content creator out there. I'm the best in everything when it comes to college football. Proof's in the pudding.
I thought Rob's had one of the worst takes I've seen on this podcast. That's why I was so irate and angry towards it.
This kid is unemployed and lives with his parents.
Let me tell you, my friend, I don't think you're ready for that. The kitchen is a little hot in this kitchen, baby.
This isn't a comedy show, right? We don't need comedic relief.
Disclaimer. The content presented in this show is intended for entertainment purposes only. All opinions expressed are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of any individuals or organizations mentioned. Statements made about public figures or entities are based on publicly available information and are not intended to harm or defame any person or business. This show relies on fair use of social media posts, which are presented in good faith for the purpose of commentary and criticism. Viewers and listeners are advised to form their own opinions. Circle Back here on the Circles Up channel. It's part of the Hammer Betting Network and it's presented by Underdog. This is the show where we cover the latest and greatest stories from gambling Twitter. And as always, we have a loaded episode for you guys here today. We're talking about some sports books, getting in some hot water. We're talking about possibly when you should and should not cash out a bet and so much more. You're going to want to stick around for the full episode here with the A-Team. I am your host, Jacob Gramegna, as always. In the top right corner, we have Jeff Nadu. Bottom left, we have Chris Dierkes at Flup No Lied. And in the bottom right, we have Joey Knish. And let's not waste any time. Let's jump right into things with the show today. Our very own Jeff Nadu talking big game on Twitter. He actually said this on our show last week, but we had some more pressing matters, so we didn't discuss it a lot. But you went to Twitter, Jeff, and said, I am the best college football bettor out there. I'm confident in what I do and how I do it. You're not me and never will be. And don't come in my mentions talking about I'll challenge you unless you're someone in this business. So, Jeff, I mean, it says it all there. You believe you are the best in the business when it comes to CFB betting.
Yeah, I do. I think in a week where certain people were calling themselves the best, I thought it was important that I make it very clear. My presence felt that I am the best college football bettor out there. I'm the best content creator out there. I'm the best in everything when it comes to college football. Proof's in the pudding. Time and time again, I've made that clear. And other than maybe the guy below me, but he can challenge me whenever. He would be somebody in this business.
You know what this reminds me of? It's like when you turn on Sports Center and you see those little kids that everybody's letting, run to the end zone for free in the teams. It's like a make-a-wish thing. That's what I'm seeing. That was Nadu's football season last year. Now he's feeling himself. He has a good year. His confidence is up, and he wants to get into, the big boys pool.
That's not true exactly.
Step up to the next level. And let me tell you, my friend, I don't think you're ready for that. The kitchen is a little hot in this kitchen, baby. And I don't think in Lancaster, they ain't got kitchens like this. And, I'll applaud you for, wanting to, try and level up a bit. But I would say humbled is how Jeff Nadu's going to feel this season.
Well, how about this, Joey? You can show your kitchen to Twitter and I'll show mine and we could see who people like better.
We'll have a Feinberg rate if I HGTV Feinberg.
Let us see the photos. Well, maybe we could talk about them on the Tuesday show. That'd be great.
But it must be made clear it's not just the last year; it's the last 4 years. But all in all, Joey, maybe you and I can get something going. But yeah, in terms of all encompassed, I believe I'm very good at it. I could say one better. I think I'm one of the best college bettors in general when it's basketball or football.
So, Knish is the host on our Hit the Books channel here at the Hammer, our college football channel. But I do want to get Flup involved. Flup, if I'm not mistaken, you do CFB betting as well.
Yes, I mean more top down. So I wouldn't compare myself to any originator that's actually coming up with their own lines like Nadu or Knish are. But I'm assuming
basically betting Joey K stuff at half-point worth.
Well, I'm actually getting real sharp stuff, not Joey K stuff. But I'm assuming Nadu is being a little exaggeratory when he says this, because I've always felt the belief if someone feels the need to say they're the best, they're probably not the best.
Well, that's true. I will say it was partly because a certain other person said on a stream in front of thousands of people that they were the best live bettor in the world. But no, then I thought about it and said, well, I am pretty good at it. But yeah, again, unless you're somebody, stop DMing me. And when I say somebody, I mean like you've been here longer than 6 months.
Okay, so you'd be willing to go toe to toe against somebody who's
you also
been
have
in the game a while.
You cannot be anonymous either.
Okay, well, I would say, I mean, I don't know how much you're betting. You don't. I'm not asking you to share. You don't need to share if you don't want to. But there are people putting down huge numbers on college football.
Does that make them good bettors though?
If if they have heavy impact on line movement, if sports
Dave
are
Portnoy
moving
bets
heavily off
hundreds
their
of thousands
action,
of dollars on games. He's not good at gambling.
You're right. But if there is a group that is moving the number, that is a group or a person that commands respect, and I would wonder how you feel you stack up to that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so I do want to add to that. I think money in betting is the end all be all. There are some exceptions. Portnoy is a great exception. Obviously, his money doesn't mean anything. But for the majority of people actually wagering, if you have a lot of money and you're betting, it typically means you've earned a lot through betting, which is your proven track record. Obviously, there's exceptions to that, but as Jacob touched, if you're moving the line, you're respected. It's simple as that. And the more money you have, the bigger move and the bigger impact you have on a line. So I think
Joey K, let me know.
Hey, listen, where it's the details are being ironed out, it's worked up, and I hate that this fall, usually a joyous time for Nadu. You know, usually it's into his college season, his vibes are up, he's out having some Stellas, and now he's going to be drowning his sorrows in Joey K's dust. So,
well, I would do that regardless as far as going out. But listen, Joey, I'll put my money where my mouth is. We'll see in a couple of months. All right, no problem.
Flip, I got to ask you, and this came to me as isn't on the sheet. Just on your opinion, right there, when you said how much, like let's say on a college football weekend, how much of the handle. And this is all maybe the total handle. This is going to be a very granular question. It's not going to have a real answer. Do you think is sharp, respected money versus just generic square money in terms of?
I mean, obviously depends if it's a ranked game or a like extra game. An extra game, it's probably going to be 75% plus sharp money on it. And if it's a ranked game, I'm going to assume closer to 30%, 25%. Maybe my predictions are way off. I guess even if it's 75%, that wouldn't even make sense because how are they going to be profiting at that point?
And it depends book to book too, right? Like obviously one book's going to, I mean, we're almost like if we're talking like the whole pie, how much, if it's all in. Yeah.
After seeing these numbers out loud, I think they're stupid. Half what I said for both of them. I think on an extra game, 35-40%, and then on a ranked game as much as 20%. And I've even seen like I recall there was like a big game. It was like at USC a year or two ago, where all the market makers were standing pat at a number, and all the rec books were off like 1.5, and you could just get like direct arbs because there was so much, like you saw the dichotomy between rec and sharp money. But I mean, I know there's players betting quite literally millions down on CFB. So there's a lot of money that's sharp in the market.
So Nadu asked for a challenge, essentially. If anybody wanted to stack up against him, they had the opportunity to do so. A couple people had some replies here. At Billy Bonesaw said,
I'm not sure why we're putting Billy Bonesaw on here. Billy Bonesaw's a fucking loser and has no value in this community whatsoever. The other two, they could talk.
I'm aware you don't like Billy Bonesaw.
Billy Bonesaw's a fucking troll loser. He should not be on here.
At the tailgate tent said, sup, I guess inciting a possible challenge. We also have Eddie, who at Walls_Edwards says, I was today's years old when I learned Jeff Nadu, who I've been battling for numbers open to close the last 15 plus years. Might have to hang it up. Tough beat all the way around. Crushers everywhere. Don't think that's very serious there. But I mean, like you said, you invite the challenge. So if anybody, like if people are talking, they have the opportunity to message you. They have the opportunity to go head to head. Is that correct?
Ask how many people have reached out.
How many?
I don't think any. One?
Just one.
Okay.
Yeah, Tailgate 10. I mean, he didn't really reach out, but he directed it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of people are talking shit. Listen, Nadu,
Listen,
with
Knish.
respect, I don't think you're the best college football bettor. I don't think I'm a good college football bettor, so I'm not going to do it. But if people really want to go at you, they have the opportunity to go head to head, right?
Listen, Knish, I'm going to give you a little gift. Just go grab a little Toledo plus 11.5 against Kentucky week 0, okay?
It's already early Nadu release.
Yeah, that'll be a 10.5 before we know it. So just get it early, okay?
Okay. Well, we'll have to see. Let us know in the comments down below if you
Now,
think Nadu can stack
Nadu, I
up.
hope you win the bet, but I hope it closes like 12, just so it'd be funny. So it's like a win-win. Like I get to make fun of you, but you win your bet at least.
All right, before we go to our next topic here, a word from our presenting sponsor of the channel, Underdog. All right, quick shout out to our friends over at Underdog, because if you've been watching the playoffs but you haven't been using them, then you're missing out on one of the best user experiences in the space. We've tried a lot of different apps over the years, and Underdog just nails it. The interface is clean, fast, and simple, but not in a watered down way. It's intuitive. You log in, you know exactly where to go, and you can build entries in seconds without having to dig through 5 layers of nonsense. It's honestly one of those products where the more you use it, the more you appreciate how well it's built. Whether you're playing casually or taking it seriously, it just works. And you actually want to come back and use it again. We've also heard from a bunch of you and even a few sharp bettors who said the same thing. I didn't expect to actually like this. That says a lot. So if you haven't signed up yet, now is the time. Just click the link in the description and use code CIRCLES on sign up, and that'll get you up to $1,000 in bonus credit as a new customer. Again, that is promo code CIRCLES, right with the link below. Check it out and let us know what you think. We're betting you'll be impressed. Huge conversations arose from FanDuel looking to potentially implement a 50-cent transaction fee on every bet placed on its platform in Illinois on September 1st, 2025. This is when it will begin. The company announced Tuesday, that is according to David Payne Purdom at David Purdom, says the transaction fee is in response to a recent tax increase on sportsbooks in Illinois. We've talked about this already on Circle Back, but specifically here with FanDuel getting involved. And a couple responses came in here. First of all, from Jeff Benson of Circa at Jeffrey Benson 12, who says, don't blame FanDuel, blame the regulators and politicians. And we have the ROI guy 123. This will have the biggest effect on small bettors and will either 1, cost small bettors a lot of money, 2, push smaller bettors to unregulated offshore sites, or 3, cause smaller bettors to increase bet size and become bigger losers so that the 50 cent matters less comparatively. Most likely some combination of all 3. Maybe some gamble less because of this, but in my opinion, that will be dwarfed by people who fall into one of those 3 above categories. If anyone at all cares about problem gaming, this is not the policy I would be supporting. So not necessarily going at FanDuel here or the regulars, maybe like a combination of both. Benson wants to point the finger here at the regulars, but let's start with you on this one, Knish. What did you make of the taxes coming into Illinois and books like FanDuel adding something like this, a 50-cent transaction fee for every bet?
Well, Flup hosted a space this week and had Captain Jack on, who I think is probably me and Jack gone back and forth on a few things over the years, but in terms of like regulation policy and taxation and stuff, I don't think there's anybody better out there to explain it and explain it in a concise format that even, a normie like me can understand. I guess my biggest issue with it is this was, a couple of politicians in Illinois that don't understand sports betting and don't understand the impact it would have and kind of the what I'll call the unintended consequences that this was it was kind of like a sneak in the last minute. We don't think it'll impact too much, but they don't understand sports betting. And then they put this in there. And now FanDuel is at a point where the most popular wager in all of betting right now is the small dollar SGP. And this has a direct correlation, negative impact to the small dollar SGP bettor. And it's ridiculous. And I'll give the biggest concern I would have, and Henry over at No Big Buck Hunter said this on the space, and it was like, Flup, you almost froze. Like, the point was so good, it kind of like caught everybody in the space, like if this actually works without a lot of negative customer pushback or negative consequences, what's to stop other states from them implementing something similar? Which I think would be bad for everybody, bad for FanDuel, bad for the bettor. So I'm hoping this crashes and burns and fails miserably. But I guess it's kind of, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I really love how FanDuel's handling this for a multitude of reasons. And the first, I want to give like a brief economic lesson. There's a concept called the Laffer curve, where it's the tax rate that maximizes revenue for a government.
And this is no laughing matter.
Yes. And so you can't just tax things at 100% because no one would work or no one would produce. So what is that optimal rate? In my opinion, the government and all these states are well past that. And this 50-cent additional wager bumps them up to effectively in the 50s for Illinois, which 50% I'm referring to in tax and GGR, which is ridiculous. It's hard to run a business. FanDuel, DraftKings, these companies aren't just printing money. There's a lot of a cost and a lot of staff that need to go into this. Additionally, the reason why I think this is so good is it affects a smaller bettor. And you might be thinking, well, shouldn't you care about them? Those are the kind of people that complain to the regulators. The $1,000 bettor probably doesn't care, and he won't care about this. He won't. If he sees a 15% tax rate increase, he's not going to care. But if you put a 50-cent wager, which is 10% on a $5 SGP, they're going to have a heart attack and they're going to complain.
Yeah.
And FanDuel's made it very clear they don't want this policy. They want Illinois to take it back. And I think it's very logical. Get your customer base aligned with the real enemy here. The real enemy is not FanDuel here. It's Illinois, the state government. And the slippery slope is the thing that I'm most scared of. New York's been running around with the 51% tax on GGR. If everyone else has that and it works fine, everyone's going to want to go there. And then you can't have competition, and you can't have new products. It becomes very hard to regulate. There's a middle ground here. I'm not saying we need to have no tax or even 10% or 20%, but 25, 30, 35%. These are reasonable numbers, and FanDuel is fine with it. But this additional 50-cent wager is ludicrous, and it's great on them to make it very obvious what their demands are and who the enemy is. I think they laid it out perfectly, very well executed. I hope DraftKings follows suit. When DraftKings had their idiotic wager where they added a percentage, I thought that was stupid. FanDuel's making it very clear, and they're doing a good job.
Anything from you to do?
This shows you yet again, and this is really a problem that I have with the government in this country in general, is that they're so far away from the actual normal person, right? They're so far in their ivory tower away that they don't even understand or get how real life really works for people. And they don't seem to understand anything. They dip their beaks into things. They have no idea what they're affecting or who they're affecting. I've talked about this with regulation. When you're regulating something, again, it's good for an industry, but it also creates things. Things are brought in that have no real bearing. We don't need them. They're either inconsequential or they're too much. There's no happy medium a lot of the time. Again, Knish was dead right. Putting your beak into something that you have no reason to put your beak into. They don't understand gambling. They don't understand anything. Regulation is good, but again, it's got to be uniformed across the board. There's got to be understanding of how it all works. This is just another photograph of us seeing that the government generally has no idea even what they're talking about or what they're looking into.
I think a lot of people would have seen this up front and thought it was a scummy move by FanDuel, but it is just a survival tactic to maintain profitability. And there is very large reason to believe that if Illinois were to not implement this tax, then this 50-cent transaction fee on all wagers just would not exist. FanDuel doesn't want to implement this. It is a case of that they have to implement this in order to keep their business afloat. So hopefully regulators in this space can do a much better job of creating an environment where people will want to bet in a regulated space, or they will move offshore. Just before we move on here, like if people are moving offshore, they're like, how much does this affect the livelihood of sportsbooks in Illinois and other places they follow suit? I'll ask you, Flup.
I mean, probably not a ton in the short term, but it could massively affect in the long term. And this is the thing that's so problematic and why I think FanDuel's doing the right thing here. Raising the tax rate will probably generate more revenue in the short term, but it massively fucks it up in the long term. So they need to show, like FanDuel needs to show the regulators, hey, this is a massive problem long term. And yeah, the next quarter or the next year, revenue might be boosted for Illinois, but instead of it increasing like it probably would have been if they didn't implement this, it'll be decreasing afterwards because we'll have the effect of why bet with FanDuel when they have to have these policies when you can bet offshore. And then everyone will go back to PPHs, et cetera, et cetera. Illinois won't get the tax revenue, and people will be betting in unsafe practices rather than a regulated sportsbook like a FanDuel or DraftKings. So sure, it might not impact them in the next 3 months, 6 months, but it will in the next 3 years for sure.
All right, so we'll monitor that situation further on the channel. Hopefully,
you have to also ask yourself, will other states start doing this?
Yeah,
exactly. And this is why they need to. It's so important that they make a big stink about it. There's a reasonable tax rate, 28 to 40%, something along those lines. But this puts it well past in the space. Captain Jack was saying this puts it over 50%. That's ridiculous. You can't run a business big, and it's not just corporate tax. You get 50%, and then you get corporate tax on top of that. It just tax out the wazoo. It's impossible to run a business.
Yep. So we'll monitor on the channel, see if anything changes. Hopefully, Illinois can come to their senses. But we shift from one sportsbook to another that's gotten in a little bit of hot water. Perhaps a little bit more justifiable in this case here for Bet365 because they sent this message to a bettor. They said, hi, we are contacting you regarding bet ID blank. Place at the odds of 180 on Tyler Anderson under 4.5 pitcher strikeouts in a game between the Angels and the Red Sox. We've identified that this selection was placed at incorrect odds, and as such, in accordance with our rules, will be settled at the revised odds of plus 100. If you would like to cancel this bet prior to the start of the event, then please contact us. Please accept our apologies for any inconvenience costs. And this is from Joke with 4 E's and an underscore. So this is what Bet365 does now. They can just alter the lines of any plays they post. So basically, if they open a play at a bad price, they can change the odds to whatever they want. They left Tyler Anderson under 4.5 Ks at plus 180 yesterday for at least 30 minutes too. How do we feel about this? I'll start with you, Nadu. How do we feel about a sportsbook changing the odds after the bet has been placed?
Well, and this is why in the previous segment, no one's going to feel any sadness for FanDuel, right? Because of stuff like this. Not that they did this, but other books do this, and this is what they do, sadly. What are we betting on, horses now? The odds can change. They can fluctuate. Disgraceful. You see this a lot. I'm going to hope that they maybe rectified the situation with the bettor. I don't know if we did anyone look? Did they follow up on it?
I wouldn't think so.
I'm going to add some and normally I would, in most cases, agree with Nadu's stance, but I'm going to add some very important context here that Jacob did not provide. Maybe we'll have Jason on as out next week if, he doesn't sharpen up, but clean it up a little bit up there. So this Joke character has 168,000 Twitter followers. He runs a massive WAP. He releases those plays in a Discord. So what happens here is Bet365 doesn't just get hit with 1 or 2 or 3 bets at this price. He's releasing it to his massive Discord, and they're taking hundreds, maybe thousands of bets on this price since they left it up for that long.
How about investigator Knish? Look at this.
Does that justify them doing this? Because I agree. That's not a quote unquote mistake line. It's they left a stale line up. But if Joke himself just played this and it was just one bet, would it have been flagged? Would this have happened? I don't think so, my friend.
But does that make it more acceptable that because more people bet it?
Listen, I'm not here to be the moral police. I'm here to tell you what's happening in the business. And what happens is the joke is that he's selling plays to a shitload of people. The book got upset and gave him the finger for a mistake. And now all his clients got screwed.
I'd like to rectify what I said or revise what I said. I didn't know that about him. So I agree with what Knish says.
Well, okay, so what's tricky here is normally I've seen Bet365 revise the odds after the event settled, which is just pure scum. At least here they gave him the option to just cancel the bet. But I need to know.
He had to have caught it pre-game.
Right. That's the thing is it has to be some amount of time. Like if he bet it at say 12 and the game starts at like 6 and they sent him an email at like 5, okay, what are we doing here? That's ridiculous. If they caught it within like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, okay, I can lean towards fine. I don't like what they're doing, but I can understand it a bit more. I don't know those things. Investigator Knish, do we know those things? I'm looking to you. Do we know how long before it was caught?
My firm has already disclosed all the information we're willing to.
Okay, so the post was made at 9:55 a.m. Eastern time on June 2nd. I'll have to find the game in which Tyler Anderson started here, and then we can come up with a better idea of the time frame here. It's possible that this wasn't caught until the next morning as well, based on the fact that it's at 9:55 a.m. But let me just
and I think also Knish brought up an excellent point. There's a difference between mistake line and stale line. This looks like a stale line, which I think is a shitty thing to do to void.
Yeah. In practice, is it a shitty thing for a book to do? Yes, I agree with that. It's an 80-cent difference. Should that be absolutely like a justifiable void? No.
So this was – sorry, go ahead.
Go. I was just saying that the guy's joked actions himself and his business model then leads to this outcome. Because if I'm here by myself and I bet that line, that's 55,
I don't like that argument either, though, because I can't tell you the number of times I've gone to like a kiosk or like the counter and I want to bet. And I'm like, I want to bet X dollars. They're like, no, we can only take, less than X. So then I bet that. Then they don't move the line. And I'm like, so someone else could come up and bet it? If you're not moving the line on a click, you open yourself up. I don't feel any remorse for you. This argument that 1,000 people bookmake better. I mean, what is?
I agree.
What are we arguing
I agree. So for context, this was posted at 9:55 a.m. Eastern time. This is when Joke posted it. This was the day of the game. So this was. I would assume this was caught relatively quickly. So anybody who bet it had the option to cancel wager. That being said, I mean there isn't always a guarantee that you're going to be on the sports book. So I don't know. It's tough to say. I think it probably would have been better to void the wager if they feel as though it was a canceled bet. What's that?
What time did the game start?
The game started. I'm necessarily.
If you don't know, it's okay. But
okay. So I'm just assuming this is like an evening game.
Yeah.
Okay. If that's the case, then I actually feel a little bit more okay with what Bet365 did here. I think we need a clearer line on what's a stale and what's an error line. This probably is stale, which I don't think they should be voiding here. But if you're giving them 8 hours notice in the morning, how bad is it really? It's not the greatest thing, but it's not the worst thing. They've done plenty more shitty things, believe me.
Started at I think 7:05.
Okay, yeah. So they gave pretty a while, like 9 hours of notice.
But you're not guaranteed, like depending who you are, you're not guaranteed to be back on the app at any point that day. So you could miss this.
Sure. But if it was like 1 hour, I would have zero remorse for like.
I'm just wondering, like, would you prefer to have this voided so you have the option to bet it at +100, or would you rather just have it at plus 100. I would feel like in most instances, especially that big of a swing, I would say I would rather just not have my money on something that would likely be now minus EV.
Well, it's funny because you probably think that way, and most of us probably think that way.
Sure.
But most recreational bettors are like, the side is the side. He's going under. I don't care what price.
I suppose he. By the way, didn't go under. He had 5 strikeouts in the game. Not that the result matters, but the bet lost.
Great
anyways. It's a comic one. I mean, I'm sure we've had experiences like I've had canceled bets, which like are understandable. This is probably in the range of such a swing where I'm thinking, could it be just a stale line? I would lean towards that direction. It's possible it was an error line, but also I agree with Flup here. Like there are sports books that like 10 bets will make them change the odds. If 10 bets come at the same time, they will change the odds. They'll at least do something to combat the volume that is getting put in. So if you're right, Knish, and hundreds, maybe thousands of people bet this, and it still stayed up for half an hour, I completely agree with what Flup said. Do better bookmaking, because how can you not recognize that this is getting absolutely blasted, especially on lower limits in the morning? I think that this is a mistake that 365 should have just owned and learned from. But I'd be curious what anybody else thinks in the comments on this one. Anything to add, guys? All right. We can move to our next topic then. This one, I mean, we've had some polarizing discussion, but this one might be one of the biggest ones we've had. So, monitoring a situation here with a bettor who had a $13 parlay where they bet on the Dodgers to win the World Series, the New York Liberty to win the WNBA championship, the Philadelphia Eagles to win the Super Bowl, which have all won, and then now the Oilers and Thunder to win their respective championships in the NHL and NBA. This is a bet placed at plus 2,082,000 odds. So huge payout, $270,000 payout potentially if this does win. Oilers and Thunder now down 2-1 in their respective series. The cash out currently sits at $60K. Before these finals started, before game 1 of the NHL and NBA finals, the cash out was at $145,000. Now it's at $60,000. So complicated scenario here. Parlay Bay had this to say about the situation at this present point. Says I would have took the $100,000 when it was offered. People saying it's a huge difference between $100,000 and $270,000, but the difference between 0 and $100,000 would feel way worse. So, Knish, you've talked a bit in the past about the difference between going bust from let's say like 100,000. But like the difference between that is huge compared to the difference between 100,000 and 200,000. I don't know if that's the exact amount of numbers you've used or anything, but kind of goes in line with what you said previously. That being said, let's go to you on this one. How do you think this situation should be handled?
Yeah, no, it was like just a point on your quality of life. If your net worth is 0 compared to $1 million versus $1 million and $2 million, 0 and $1 million is huge. $1 million and $2 million is very negligible. With that said, I think there's 2 ways to look at this. Is the guy taking the cash out, if he took it before the series or he takes it for the 100,000, is he going to be costing himself some EV? Obviously, yes. But when you're looking at this type of wager and he placed it for $13, which leads me to believe then the younger guy, it's probably, he's got his bankroll is not very hard. Like I would think $100,000 or $145,000 is a significant amount of money to him. Maybe, life impactful for him. So I would not kill the guy in this case if he decided to take the cash out then or the 100K cash out. With that said, now, I think what you really don't want to do is what I'll call panic cash out, where now, especially, in the Thunder series or something where you're down 2-1. I mean, some people online might have thought the Pacers were live. People in the chat thought that, OKC was a generational opportunity. I don't want to get too involved in that. But I think now you almost got to ride it out. Like, it's almost like the window is past now. And you've put yourself behind the 8 ball, and maybe let it go at this point. I'm interested to hear what your guys' take is, though.
This kid is unemployed and lives with his parents.
Oh, that's
He's
good.
24 years old. Come on, man. What are we talking about here?
That's good. That's fair context. I'm kind of shocked you didn't take the 145 then.
No shit. I mean, it was a $13 wager. This is one of those things you do where you just happen to have $13 left and you're like, you know what? What am I going to do with $13? Let's just do this. The kid went to Binghamton University, just graduated school. I mean, that's a great start in life. 145K. What are we doing here?
All right. So Flup was the one who brought this up. Really wanted to talk about this. What's been like the common sentiment?
Flup's going to tell us that the lack on says, this. He should have doubled down on the Thunder.
On the sharp side of gambling Twitter, what's the sentiment here?
So the thing that bothered me so much here is people were like so quick to say cash out 100K. Well, the cash out got to 100K. So like at one point the cash out was 10. At one point it was 20. At one point it was 30, 40, et cetera, et cetera. Where were those people then? Like, should he cash out when it was $10,000? At $20,000? Like, at what number did it become? Okay, he's an idiot for not cashing out. I actually agree with both of you guys here, both Nadu and Knish. He should have cashed it out at pre-series at $145,000, but he probably should have cashed it out before the other event when it was like $50,000.
Well, would you agree though? Once the Super Bowl ended and the Eagles came, right? What was? Do we know what his cash out was then?
Yeah,
I'm not a lot of time there.
But that's a long time. Like the Oilers were not in as good of a spot. The Thunder were favorites at the time, but
once it was at 145, what are we doing here?
Pre-series at 145.
But Nadu, my point is, it was at 130 before 145. It was it was at one. So like, at what number should he have cashed it out at?
Yeah, that's again. You go.
I think I'd have to know context.
Yeah, clearly he has had no real issue in or interest in cashing out up until probably got to that point. I mean, now.
I also want to say I thought about reaching out to him because I would have tried to buy his wager at a little bit of a better cash out. So if he ends up seeing this, please shoot me a DM. We can maybe work out some business and maybe he gets a little bit better offer.
What would you offer him?
I don't know the math right now. I'd have to do it, but
I would wager. Well, yeah.
So from what I can tell is DraftKings typically takes 30% off what the true fare would be. I would have probably taken 15% off rather than 30. So I would have given him a nice discount.
I can get in touch with him.
There's just nobody like the cash as you laid out, Flup. I think people, even when they're in this scenario, the cash out option is usually the worst option. You usually, like, you can almost hedge it. You know, like if you went to, and I know this. Listen, I know the kid's young. He probably doesn't have a ton of cash laying around. But I mean, you can go to your parents or something, and I don't take some equity out of the house.
I don't know if he could hedge this. This would be.
I mean, Nadu said he's 24, living in his parents' home. You think this guy has got a six figures to?
Or you sell it on the market, sell it to Flup or something.
Well, according to the Las Vegas Review Journal, he said he hedged 50K at Caesars with the help of his father, but didn't provide details.
That changes everything.
That changes a lot.
Why are we doing Jacob's job today? I don't know. This is gonna. I mean, this is the most Canadian episode we've had in the world. We got no context on anything. Me and Nadu are having to do it live.
I'm a man of many hats within this company. It's difficult to dedicate my entire life to just this show.
But I mean, you look at also like his quotes on if he wins. Going to max out the 401k, max out the Roth, out of the emergency fund, have fun, maybe a little vacation, bring the boys out to dinner, bring my family out to dinner, go to Vegas. I mean, again, my guess is he's a $50 better, probably. I mean,
obviously, he bet $13 on this.
So I'll put myself in this guy's shoes. I don't live with my parents, but I'm 25 years old. I think we're all in agreement.
If this keeps up.
Sure. I am employed, by the way. This is my job, if anybody wasn't aware. 145K, we're all in agreement. Probably would have taken that. As Flup said, though, at what point do you start to, take stuff? So, I live in an apartment. I'm thinking, once it's beyond 50K, that's when you have to have a serious, conversation of, this is a down payment on a house. This is life-changing stuff here.
when the finals started, you gotta cut loose. I don't care who you are.
Jacob, you have enough, I'll call it 1 sense and 2 connections to be like,
yeah,
you know,
I would
like,
listen.
Hey,
I'm not cashing this out.
Can you
I'm
give
just
me loan me
right.
$100,000 so I can hedge this?
I could post this. I could post that ticket in a group chat and get a lot more than like $60K. What it is right now. I could probably get that done within a minute. I think. But
I think what people are missing here is, does this bettor with making a bet like this even understand he's losing expected value? I mean, this argument people come in.
Do you know what that means, man?
Right, exactly. So to say like, oh, you know, you don't cash it out. I've seen some comments from sharper people like he's losing expected value. He doesn't know what that fucking means. I mean, what are we talking about here? Who cares?
At a certain point, too, like the expected value doesn't outweigh like. Would it be the opportunity cost of your decision? Like think of like how like if he loses everything and he goes back to 0 here.
Yeah, no. This reminds me of the coin flip question, right? I remember she was like, "Would you rather flip a coin for $1 billion, or take 50 million right now?"
Yeah.
I'm never flipping that coin. Why would you do that? That is insane. Yes, I'm punting hundreds of millions in expected value, but why would you do that?
Yeah, it's a perfect example. So for me at 50K, that's when like a serious conversation would have to begin. I mean, you could look at the matchups, but even just to not have the sweat, even like OKC who have been favored so heavily this entire way, to have to sit through OKC Denver Game 7 essentially with like 50K riding on it, it makes me sick to my stomach even thinking about it. So at that point, I probably strongly considering cashing out.
I'm going to come to you from the sports betting content creator, not that I'm sharp, but not from these guys' points of view. This dude will never have this feeling again. It will never happen to him again, ever. Okay, you gotta get something out of it, man. I mean, right?
They're both down 2-1. I would take 60K at this point, I think.
Yeah. I mean,
you know, it's a sunk cost. Like, you know, you didn't take 145. That's it. It's a sunk cost. This is the situation now. You can't go back. You can't change it. This is $60,000.
According to investigator Nadu, he sounds like he already got 50K locked up. I mean, so if that's the case, it seems like he doesn't need to cash out.
But the sad part of it is, like Flup said, I mean, when this cashes out or whenever if he wins, he's not going to get the amount because they're going to take 30% right off the top, right? So
I don't imagine this is plus EV. I have had scenarios where a big future is plus EV to cash out because I don't know if the sports.
This is definitely not that one.
I agree.
Yeah.
I would say to this guy, there are people who will buy this for more than 60K, sell this position. He has hedged though, so you know you've got to work in the math as well. There, $50,000 hedge. So, how much money do we think he's guaranteed for himself already with the hedge?
Yeah, but I'd be interested because it wasn't just a clean hedge of like one series price or something.
Yeah, he didn't speculate
parlay.
What if he messed up the hedge and loses?
We parlay the other
like
series.
how could he have possibly hedged this to guarantee profit?
That's what I don't understand.
He
didn't say. I don't know.
Well, what he could have done is he could have
sell
bet,
it to Flup to pay his dad back.
He could have bet like 10,000. No. What you could do is you can bet both the Panthers and the Pacers. So yes, and it's a little bit of a more complicated math question.
Okay,
so
yeah.
If the Pacers win, you win something, and if the Panthers win, you win something, so that you cover both scenarios. But you're going to lose the other one. It'll work out. There's this easy way to do it.
Yeah.
I don't want to describe it right now because I don't know off the top of my head.
My question for this kid is like, why does he want this out there? I've never understood this about these types of people.
Free clout. I mean, who wouldn't want this?
But he's not getting any clout. Like he has no follow. Like what would be I don't understand the point of why you would do this.
Oh, come on. I mean, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity.
If it's me or you and him, I understand. But this kid's a nobody. Like
no, but like Nadu, he's loving it right now. You see him excited to get to talk about it. He loves the notoriety. Like you said, he's never experienced this thing again.
Attention, drunk off the cloud here.
Maybe I got to figure out.
When's he ever going to have this opportunity again? No.
Well, Knish, maybe I got to discuss and look at who I'm hanging out with because I don't want people knowing this type of shit. If you know what I mean. I don't want to be robbed.
I understand that aspect of it. But I don't think he's thinking that. He's thinking, I just like, oh, I post this ticket. Look how much attention I get.
Well, I followed him. Let me see if he gets back to me. I'll send him to you.
So okay, let's finish this. What would you do in his position? I would sell the position to somebody who wants to buy it for more than the current cash out of $60K. If you, let's say you couldn't do that, I would take the $60K cash out. What do you guys think?
I think it's clearly the right option. And when it's something no one's talking about yet, he's got to pay taxes on this. And they have a 24% withholding automatically.
Right.
But what would you personally do right now, Flup?
I would hit the cash out in either the cash out button or if I can get an offer for Bettor.
I'm letting it ride.
I would have got rid of it.
Your position, or is that putting you in his shoes?
That's in my shoes.
Okay, in his shoes.
You have to answer it from obviously in
Flup obviously would let this play.
Asked you. I said, in your position, what would you do?
Oh, okay, fine.
Okay.
In my position, I'm letting it ride. But
in his position, what are you doing? Let's rephrase it.
In his position, I'm absolutely cashing out. You have to.
Knish, you agree?
No, I'm letting it ride. Screw him.
What about you, Nadu?
Yeah, I would have gotten out of it at 145.
But in this, that's gone. $60K now.
Yeah, I mean, I would call Flup on
Yes.
Telegram and we'd figure it out.
All right. Let us know in the comments what you would
Again,
do.
I'm trying
in
to.
this position.
That's a great point by him. I'm trying to. Well, I can't really avoid it, but I'm going to try to get a little less on something. So I'll talk to him. He'll help me with it.
All right. So we'll see what ends up happening in this situation. Perhaps we can talk about it once again on this channel. Before we go to our next topic, we're going to promo one of our other channels here at The Hammer.
Folks, it's your boy Joey K from Hit the Books, the #1 college football show in America, in all of North America. My man, Brad Powers, riding with the co-host, Joey Knish. We want to see you this fall back with college football picks, plays. Get on that YouTube channel, like, subscribe, get the noties up. We will be back this spring, this summer, this fall for all the college football content you can want. Joey K sent you there, baby, and come check us out on Hit the Books.
Up next, we're talking a little bit about BetBash, and the seminars have been posted and have made rounds on gambling Twitter, and a lot of people are pretty upset. BetBash, their Twitter account posted, our seminar schedule has been released, 24 seminars and 6 live podcasts. Circle back, by the way, we'll be featuring. Anyways, designing the seminars and schedule for BetBash is no easy task. This is now Spanky talking. I look back at my 25-plus year career and attempt to put myself in the shoes of the novice, the enthusiast, the up-and-comer, the pro, and the super pro to try and build a blended program that makes everyone happy. Hope you guys have some tough choices. So a lot of these seminars, by the way, do happen in unison, so you have to pick and choose which ones you do go and attend and listen to. But then some people were upset about some of the choices. Some of the choices included Elf is featuring on a live betting seminar with some notable, very notable bettors. As much as, you know, there's a claim of being the best in the world, we maybe don't agree with that. But there's also one that features GRP Wins and Matt Zilbert, which I think is one that people have targeted the most. China Maniac, a sharp bettor, said this: I hope Spanky booked the biggest conference room for GRP and Zilbert because this is going to be the most popular event at BetBash. Spanky replied and said, this seminar is a hot topic. One side is screaming, this is going to be great to watch, I can't wait. The other side is screaming, Spanky, how could you insult your audience with this seminar? To the happy people, thanks for the support, and I hope you have a good time. To the angry, disappointed people, chill out. There are 4 other options for you to choose from during that time slot. When you decide to create a conference with 30 unique pieces of content, I'll happily support you. Spreadopedia and Ferris weren't really pleased this one. Ferris B_86 said, BetBash is always great, but I cannot imagine how low an opinion you have to have of your customers to offer some of these sessions. Spreadopedia, another sharp bettor, said, I saw the sessions everyone is talking about, and it is one of the few times in gambling where I question myself and think, are these the people I want to associate with? Is this a good use of my time in life? The answer to all 3 is no, no, and no. Dennis Montoro said, is Elf on a panel with one of the biggest bettors of our time, or is that a different John Wilson? Jeff Benson said, the fact I have to go to a GRP seminar instead of the SGP one is both annoying and frustrating. And Trav at He Hate Me 2_0 says, Spanky turning BetBash into kind of a joke with some of these expert panels. Have any of us ever attended BetBash? I personally have been. Have you guys gone?
I was there last year.
So I guess we'll have to go to you then on this one, Knish. Did you have a problem with any of these seminars getting posted and the people that are on these seminars, the speakers?
Well, let me phrase it like this. And this is not, this would not be your BetBash marketing promo, but I'm not a big seminars guy. Like, to me, I feel like, I think the point of going is more the networking, the meeting people, the seeing people you work with in the industry. Listen, I understand some of the frustration out there. Where I would caution Spanky a little bit is, like the MIT Sloan conference used to be it almost used to be before BetBash existed, where like sharp betting people went, they met up and stuff. And then Sloan, the content of the conference, I'll call it like jump the shark a little bit, and they went a little bit, I don't know, a little bit crazy. And that conference has kind of declined in popularity. I don't think BetBash is at that realm or at that peak of that. It's just, he seems to have, in wanting to grow the conference, kind of expanded it out to maybe a little bit outside the radius of what's, I don't know, what's relevant or what's realistic. In the end, though, if you got a big problem with it, just don't go to the seminar. So I don't know. That's not really that's for me. That's like, I'll be there this year. How many of those am I going to attend? I got to be honest with you, it's not that many. It may be zero. So I don't really care that much. But maybe others who are really looking to, are invested in them, or just that are a little frustrated.
I guess I do kind of understand the point. And look, I do think, and I've discussed this, I don't think it's anybody here, but there are a lot of pretentious individuals in this space that say these things like they're better than people. And look, if you don't want to go to it, don't go to it. That said, I do kind of wonder, like, I don't understand the point of Zilbert and GRP, honestly. Like, it's kind of like,
It's just like comedic relief type of thing for everybody to have a panel. People get a bunch of laughs at how ridiculous it could be.
But the thing is, both of those two believe that this is like they're there because they're really good at betting on the NFL. I didn't even know Matt Zilbert bet on the NFL. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's part of kind of the humor in it, is that yes, they believe it there. So I can see both sides of the argument. But
also, he hate me. I'll continue to wait for your response. You called one of these individuals a blankophile. You didn't respond to who you were talking about. I don't know what that was about. Weird response by you. You haven't responded either. And when I asked you about it, that said, I'll wait.
Yeah, I think these panels, I understand the point that it's like disrespectful, because BetBash was supposed to be about learning. And you don't learn anything from Zilbert and GRP. With all due respect, I find them very entertaining, but they're not elite bettors. They're not even probably winning bettors. I say probably because I can't know for certain. So when I see like ADR,
hold on, is that without the COVID season or no?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
We cannot make a definitive statement, therefore we will not.
Yes. When I see ADR talking about how to scale a business, wow, like what a legendary seminar. That's one I want to go to. When I see Judah Forkane talking about SGPs, that's one I want to go to. And then to put them on the same panel with like GRP and Zilbert, it's almost disrespectful. It's like you can't even put them in the same sentence. They're such different levels of a bettor. ADR might be one of the best bettors of all time, and he's giving us a seminar. GRP was betting $1,000 a game, and I bet like 24 games last year. What are we doing here?
Well, I guess I do see kind of where some of these guys are coming from, like what Flupp's saying. Like when I relate it to like the stuff that I do in the mob genre, like I've built something strong over 4 years. This would almost be like putting me on a panel and then putting some fucking guy with 200 followers, that just started his channel a few months ago. I think it is. And especially he made a good point, Knish, about this is kind of taking the place of maybe at other conferences where most of it, in fact, 90% of it is strong, really good seminars. This isn't a comedy show, right? We don't need comedic relief. Like there's no need for it. It's just a kind of a waste of time.
And to Spanky's defense here, I think he's doing a good job with this. I said I was a little heated and I said some things about Bash, but I'm probably going to be going. To his point, you can just skip the seminar. Like, I will be going to Judas. If I do go, I'll be going to Judas seminar. I won't be going to the Zilbert and GRP one. Like, there's seminars where I'm not going to get value on, and I just won't go to them.
Yeah.
But it's like it's disrespectful to the audience and to the other panel members. I see that. I see the argument as well.
I won't be at that seminar either unless Rob essentially forces me to go.
Threatens to fire you for that.
Yeah.
And even then, we'll have to have a conversation. But I think there's a lot of people complaining about it. I think it's going to be a very popular seminar, and I think a lot of people will be in attendance at that seminar. So that could be where the thought process is coming from Spanky. Because if you have such a problem with it, don't go to it. But if there's so many people that are at it, there's clearly a demand for it. So is Spanky trying to branch out and see how it works? Maybe that's the goal here. And if it works, he's probably going to continue doing it. I could see Nadu made a good point, kind of bringing it a situation where he would feel aggrieved and think okay, this doesn't really make sense, and you wouldn't feel like there's as much prestige in getting selected to do a seminar or getting asked to do a seminar. But I think the bottom line, Spanky, is thinking people are going to be at this one, and there's a chance this could be one of the most popular panels that happens at BetBash. So.
But is it? I guess my thing is when you open up. The goal when you do content a lot of the time is to find new people that are going to come to something. Is there anyone coming to this is coming for that reason? I could understand.
Is the difference between me going or not going the fact that this?
That's what I'm saying. I could understand a thought of, and I'm not saying that they're going to do this, but if you were to bring Taylor Mathis types, right, I could see where 5 to 10 people might come to it just because they want to meet Taylor Mathis. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, who's coming to see Matt Zilbert? Nobody to be at fair, that conference would be there because
I love GRP's account. I think he's hysterical. I would love to meet him. If it would be a selling point to me to meet GRP.
Let me ask you, over under 2 people extra that are going just to meet GRP.
Over. I legitimately think over.
Really? You think there's more than 2 people? Wow.
He is quite a character. I don't think he's a winning bettor. He can attack me for that take, but he is hilarious. I love his account. I love his Twitter account. And if I'm at BetBash, I would want a picture and a handshake with GRP.
Why do I feel like you're going to be having breakfast with him one day at the conference? Are you going to try to
be so lucky?
If I'm lucky, exactly. I might not be high enough up the totem pole for GRP to get that privilege.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. I'll be there, so we'll have a lot of the Hammers employees there. Rob will be there as well, so we'll see how it goes, and we can report on it live from BetBash. And we'll certainly have some fun content you should be subscribed for when we're at BetBash as well, and everything in between. All right, we're bringing back this segment, Return Fire. Not necessary for every show that we do, but in instances where it's requested, we bring it back. And the request came from Flip this one. This is in response to the lead segment that we had on the Tuesday show where we spoke about AI and if AI could overtake professional bettors. And there was a conversation going on between Rufus, extraordinarily sharp bettor, going up against an AI in 2025. But then the conversation shifted a little bit into what about Rufus versus an AI in 2032? And Flip, your anger, I think anger is even underselling it. You were irate potentially about how we handled this situation here because retired donator at NFL Pinnacle Beat said, will there be an AI by 2032 that takes just a prompt, make me a good golf pricing / betting model and outperforms 2025 Rufus? 55% of the votes say no. We agreed with that on the show. You heavily disagree. So go ahead.
Yes. So a couple things. I was very upset listening to that. I thought Rob's had one of the worst takes I've seen on this podcast. That's why I was so irate and angry towards it, because they fundamentally misunderstood the question. You guys kept saying, oh, Rufus will have 2032 AI. No, it's compared to 2025. He doesn't get the next 7 years.
So I'll concede that in that moment, we all misunderstood the question.
Yes, but that was the entire. The question isn't like will AI be better than Rufus? AI will never be better than Rufus because Rufus gets access to AI.
Yeah.
The question is, how fast will the development of AI be? That would it be actually better than? And he picked Rufus because Rufus is likely one of, if not the best golf bettor in the world right now. And I have to say that I've seen AI move over the last 2-3 years. Even using it 3 years ago compared to now, it's night and day. For this, I'm in this Calcutta for the NBA playoffs, and I built a future sim with AI. And if you asked me to do this 3 years ago, it would have taken me 50 plus hours. I did it in like 4 with AI. It was incredible. If that speed continues in the next 7 years, I find it hard to believe that 2032 AI doesn't smoke Rufus in 2025. And I would further relate this to, like, do we think a winning golf bettor in 2025, maybe a weaker winning golf bettor, is beating Rufus numbers in 2015? I would say almost certainly yes. There's been so much improvements, so much technological advancements in terms of data and how people think. That same concept's got to be applied to AI. I don't know how people could think the 2032 AI doesn't smoke Rufus in 2025. We're talking about 7 of the most influential years in technological advancement in human history. It's going to be phenomenal. Now, will Rufus's numbers in 2032 be much better than AI in 2032? Yes, because he's going to be able to use it and help. So I think you could type in ChatGPT in 2032 or whatever the best GPT is, make me a good golf model, and it could get output better. I think it's very likely to happen.
So yeah, again, going back, I think recognizing the question, I would have changed my answer. I won't speak for anybody else that was there, but yeah, I agree. That much of a difference. That was a good question that I think we took out of context. So maybe good to have this on return fire. So we'll see when this segment comes back again. Let's go to our next topic here. I believe this is our last one here before the chopping block. Yes, it is. We have Captain Jack Andrews, who called out Sean Monahan of Odds Jam for allegedly copying his videos. I say I would prefer to not have to use that word, but I'll use that word, allegedly copying his videos. So Captain Jack Andrews of Unabated posted clips of him speaking in one of his YouTube videos, and then a clip of Monahan speaking in one of his YouTube videos. And the script was very, very similar. Rufus said this dude has just been creating carbon copies of your videos for years. This is straight up plagiarism. Care to comment, Alex Monahan? Sorry, I said Sean Monahan earlier. It's Alex Monahan. Sean Monahan, former either current or former NHL player. My apologies. Alex Monahan of Odds Jam. Captain Jack Andrews said, I guess you could call this steam chasing views. Be sure to stick around for the typo they copied too. And you could see there was a typo. Kind of reminds you of when like a dictionary will make a fake word and put it in their dictionary just to see if somebody else copies them. But pretty good evidence here. And even further evidence by the thumbnails being used. Captain Jack said, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery that mediocrity can pay to greatness. And it's thumbnail for a video by Unabated, which says Sportsbooks Tricked You. And it's got like a mouse trap with a bunch of sportsbook logos that says how they trick you. And then Alex Monahan posted 10 ways sportsbooks trick you with a thumbnail with the mouse trap and the sportsbook logo that says how they fool you instead of how they trick you. And then there was a video where Captain Jack posted top 5 worst bets in the sportsbook. Exact same title, down to the capitalization of worst by Alex Monahan. So in my opinion, this is a very clear plagiarism and very clearly it's copying. This is like, what an absolute scum of a move here. Nadu, you're a content creator. Have you ever experienced anything like this?
Yeah, I have this going on right now. I've made hundreds of videos on Mafia figures, many that no one's ever talked about. And all of a sudden, they're starting to pop up on other content creators' feeds. I'm also seeing that the thumbnails are very similar. Look, I look at it like this. There's very little I can do about it, quite frankly. YouTube's policies on this stuff is very difficult to do anything about. Now, luckily in this space, as far as sports betting, you can make this public and put it out there. And look, Alex Monahan's struggling mightily on YouTube. He's trying to throw stuff at the wall. And I always think of it like this. You can try to copy me. You're not going to ever be me. Like I said on that other tweet, there are certain things that I feel I do well, and I think I'm the draw. You could try to do the same things, but you're not going to be the same draw. So there's very little they can do, but this goes on all the time. And look, I think you have to do, if you're in a certain space, you have to look at what's working for other people, right? Maybe you take an idea, but again, straight up reading what they're doing is wild. I'm not sure that the people that do that are doing it to me are doing that, but yeah, Monahan is blatantly stealing, but there's very little you can do about this.
Yeah, I think Captain, when he came on the Spaces, he also, great question from Joey Gay, alluded to that a little bit more in the details and kind of went into some of the granularity, even in regards to the sale and why he's still doing some of this stuff. Monahan, I'll be honest with you, he drives me insane, like in an annoying way, in many different. Credit to him, he built up a product and was able to cash out on that. So, but a lot of the tactics he uses and some of the other things to promote OddsJam and that, obviously he doesn't have a lot of what I'll call business ethics in the way he goes about things. And so, to be honest, I was hoping the cap would stick it to him a little more than I think he plans on doing. But you know what? That's easy for me to say.
This guy made a ton of money, right? With OddsJam, right?
Yeah.
I've always wondered this because again, I'm in it. If I was a multimillionaire, right, by selling a company like that, the last fucking thing I'd want to do is sit in front of a fucking screen and do content. Why aren't you on a beach somewhere?
Well, you're missing a key point that
there's some context here. Go ahead, Fluff.
Yeah,
he alerted us.
He didn't sell it for 160 million. He sold it for 80, and he gets an additional 80 if they get more sales. So
80 million is a lot.
Yeah, exactly. No,
but he gets another 80.
Right now, that's the point. Like, yes, he could go to a beach now, or he could grind it out for another year and get an additional 80 million. And look, that's a lot of money, even if you have 80 million. So,
Sure.
Remember, it's not like he gets it all. He's got to split it up with his company.
Yeah.
My point is, why are you doing content on the like this?
For the other additional 80 million.
Is that why he's getting it? Okay, I didn't know that. My fault.
Yeah,
it's a tactic to try and grow some. Obviously, it's one, as you said, because the YouTube views that he had. It's not working very well, but that's kind of, I think, the rationale behind it.
Yeah. I just think
it's weird because I wouldn't be here today without OddsJam. That was my first real start to sports betting. But man, they annoy the shit out of me with their advertising techniques. And this kind of behavior is why I despise them now. Unabated, I've used them for 3 years, still use them. All my traders use them, love their product, and it makes me happy to see that I'm on the right side of a dispute where they're clearly Unabated is getting taken advantage of by a very predatory and scummy behavior by OddsJam.
I guess I also don't understand this guy's content strategy because when you look at his most popular videos, it's the prototypical, how I made this amount of money betting in 1 year. Very impressive, very, personal videos that can help people. Get 100,000 views. These videos are not working. It's clear that this content strategy by him is not working. Why not go back to the stuff? He has a video, how I made my sister $5,000 betting on sports. That's the kind of shit he should be doing. Copying him is not working for you. You need to get back to the content strategy. Well,
and it's just, you're an asshole. It's one thing to take a video idea and make it your own.
Right.
There's in the content space, especially there's only so many topics, especially to cover from a sports evergreen sports betting perspective. But it would appear he has literally taken the thumbnail and made his own version of it. He literally, whether intentional or not, this title is word for word, lowercase and uppercase letter, the exact same as the other one. So it's one thing to take the concept, but the script, it's like he took the transcript and read it out himself.
That's the worst part of it. The fact that he just it is funny that he took trick and fool and just try to make it look a little different. But the fact that he's blatantly just reading the same shit that the other channel did, that's what makes it kind of irreparable.
Nadu, let me ask you this. say you did posted a video about a mobster that no one's talked about.
Right.
And then I make a video about that mobster, use a different thumbnail, and I have different takes on it than you. You have no problem with that, right?
No, I have no problem with that because, again, like there's so many people to cover and all of them have an interesting story. But, again, most of these people, they don't even know they exist until I do them, right? As long as you put your own flair. But when you take, like, thumbnails I have and straight up just make them the same way, like it's –
Yeah.
Again, there's nothing really I can do. All I can put out is that, hey, you're biting off me, which is fine. But straight up reading, like, people's – like it's almost like what are they when you
a teleprompter?
Yeah, that's wild.
I do content as well, so I see similar. So like if I come up with an idea for a video and it blows up, other channels in the same niche are going to do the same. Now,
I'll tell
as
you,
long as they're changing the title, changing the thumbnail, and they're putting their own. They're giving it personality that's different. That's just part of the game. But
I'll still say to this day, there's a content maker in the sports space that took my big man on campus name and made their own show about it. Do you remember that, Joey Knish? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't.
They should have took my name and just changed the letters around, and just had a different abbreviation. But that's beside the point. I don't want to get them in. I don't want to get us into trouble here.
No, I'm not. You have to let me know who this was after the show.
All right.
If I had copied Captain Jack's videos word for word, he's an asshole. Just complete asshole. 100%. All right. Let's move into now the final segment here, the chopping block, where we've got a few extra topics here that didn't warrant an entire segment, but we do want to talk about a little bit at the very least, starting off with Amanda Vance celebrating her big win on Sam Bennett to get be first goal scorer for the Panthers, and $25 bet on this one here at plus 1,100 odds. Jonah at stakes_royale says, imagine paying $250 a month to find out your handicapper is sending out $25 Hard Rock first goal wagers. Nadu, is a bad look or what?
No, this is why Amanda Vance is way smarter than you think. Do you think she actually cares that guy did that? She wants people to do that, right? These people are willing to sell their soul. They don't care how stupid they look. It is all about engagement. You can then profitize off this nowadays. She loves this. This is her goal. This is a certain, guy in Boston's goal. There's a lot of people like this. She does these things for a reason. We're not stupid. She went in that club for a reason to do that. This is what they do.
If this was Emma Vance, I wouldn't have a problem with it. It's Amanda Vance. It is like, I agree with you, Nadu. She's in the "it's all for clicks" club. I don't know what, to me, I would have, if it's me, and you're trying to run I don't know why you just don't crop out the amount that the ticket's for. It does look like you bet $25, you know what I'm saying? But I'm aligned with you. It's just whatever I can do to get people, whether it be pissed off, whether I look stupid or any of that, it's all just engagement.
I will quickly say before we get Fluff's thought, I mentioned this last week. Emma Vance, she's gotten a trophy from me for one thing. She is the only person that I've ever slid into her DMs where she did not respond at all. Never happened.
Ghosted.
First time.
That is very unfortunate. I was going to bash Amanda for this, but Nadu brought up a great point that this is all for engagement, so I don't really want to comment further and give her more engagement. I didn't think about that. Nadu is spot on. Unfortunately, I wish he wasn't right, but he was.
We've talked about it before. People are not buying the picks because they're winning picks.
Right.
We can leave it at that. Next one here comes from ML Football at _ML Football. Says news #Colts owner Carly Ursay Gordon explains why she is on the sideline with a headset on and a call sheet. She says, I need to be able to say, is this person full of BS? Do they even know what they're talking about? I would suggest it for anyone else that has to pay head coaches and GMs millions and millions of dollars. It helps you make a less expensive mistake. It is such a complex organism, a football team and how it operates. You could say that person ran the route wrong, learning, someone tagged the wrong receiver, and it wasn't really the player's fault. It was the person that called it. So How do we feel about owners being on the sideline with a call sheet and a headset? What do you think,
A
Flup?
strong female owner. Let's hear it, Nadu.
Well, I will say there's nothing better than being a kid of a rich person, right? This individual who's done nothing, she knows nothing about football, but hey, she's rich and her father died, so it's her
She's
company
trying
now.
at least. She's not just sitting back like it's
terrible.
not like Major League, like the movie. Like
Come on,
she's there trying to at least
she's a
try
fucking
to learn.
religious studies major. She's not a fucking football.
Well, no, but like you're right. She's been completely blessed by nepotism. At least there's an effort to like participate in the role.
If Tom Brady bought a team and was on the sidelines, fine. You actually played. I can respect it. But I don't care if it's a man or a woman. If you're a rich
Agreed.
dude, never played football, get the fuck away from the sideline. You don't know anything.
Right.
What are you doing
Headset's fine, no microphone.
No,
Yeah, I don't hate the idea in principle of like an owner just going there and wanting to see what's happening or any of
What's
that.
the point of it? I don't get it.
It's not like, hey, I'm getting on and be like, no, we want the XYZ, Z banana here.
Joe, I think terrible take because these people don't know what they're even to look for. You need to hire a respected GM and they handle everything. Someone that knows football. They tell you what's going on. And you give them a year or 2 or 3 leash. And if they don't figure it out, you fire them and you try again. Robert Kraft, he fucked off. He let Bill Belichick do everything. Works out great. The Eagles owner, he lets Howie take care of everything. He doesn't get involved. What do we see? Constant winning. And have a consistent, reputable person in charge. It's good. You don't need to get micromanaged.
And look at the hands-on owners, the Jerry Joneses of the world. Annoyances. By the way, what is her goal doing? Knish is saying, if they call out Spider 2 Y banana, no, I don't think we should do that. Let's do something else. Like, what's the micromanaging here? Go up in the office, have some finger food, and fuck off. Right?
Exactly. And if you think like, also I don't think people understand how to even talk to like professional athletes and men like this. If you have a coach cursing out another player, that could be the correct technique, and she might be like, whoa, let's have a sign of respect here. Like, no, that's just not how it is. I'm not saying that's how they speak or they don't speak, but she can't even realize what she's thinking about because she hasn't been in football for like 30 years. If she has, I'll change my opinion, but I don't think she has.
If she's just there on the sidelines listening and not doing anything, that's fine. Completely changes if she's trying to change plays or if she's micromanaging. That would be completely different. But if she's just there to absorb,
if you're there to absorb, that's one thing. But my fear is she's there to absorb and then make decisions. Based on
that's a problem.
And it's like you don't even know what you're looking for.
Yeah, you're right. That would be a problem. I agree. So just depends on how it. I would like some more information how involved she is in the decision making process. I guess we'll see a little bit more next season. This one comes from Joey Knish himself, who says, Motor City Casino, I don't think this new policy of checking everyone's ID, even if they're a 100-year-old lady, is working very well. 30-minute wait to walk in the fucking casino like I'm at Cedar Point. As I see a bunch of people turning around and leaving. Genius idea, and you posted a photo of a large line of people just trying to enter a casino. Knish, describe this experience.
You know, there's a lot of bad things happening in the world. Russia, Ukraine, Palestine, Israel, all that. But this, I got to tell you, is one of those things that in my world has really just been brutal. There was I'll give you the context here because I got it from one of my people there. There was a bar fight between 2 underage kids inside of Motor City, and they got fined by Michigan Gaming Commission because of that, because it led to arrests and all that. And so their response to that was, we're going to check every single person's ID that walks into this property. I don't care if they've been there 600 days in a row and they're 104 years old and they can barely walk on one of those little scooter things. We need to see your ID. So they went from like, you know, just if this person looks, you know, maybe in the, you know, round 21, we're going to card you, to now everybody on earth. And it's leading to this. where anytime it gets busy, you're now waiting in a 15, 20, 30-minute line to walk in a fucking casino, which is, I got to tell you, is jamming me up a little bit, and it's quite frustrating. And for thoughts and prayers for Joey K. If leave those in the comments, send me a DM, fruit basket, all that. It's tough. It's tough
I'm
out
just
here in the
happy
deep.
that you now understand what it's like for those poor Ukrainians getting bombed by Russia to feel. Like
Amen. Amen. I'm in the trenches, baby. I'm in the foxhole.
I agree completely, though. If Jacob and I go, ideas. But if you two old farts, okay, let you guys in.
Oh man, I got a beard. I think I'm good. You might get ID'd.
Yeah, I always get ID'd. Don't worry.
I know Flop will get ID'd. Go in for a driving test.
If it's within 20 years, I understand. But if little Edna from Pool Park pulls up on her wheelchair, like, do we need to ID Grandma Panagakis going into the casino? I mean,
Exactly.
Come on.
Yeah, it's gone. Like, the response has gone totally the opposite, and now we're gonna ID.
This is a Norman society. It's one wild extreme to the other. It's we're not going to arrest anybody, and then we're going to start arresting everyone for everything.
Yeah.
Why don't we just arrest bad people who commit crimes and are violent?
Yep.
There's always something.
Last topic here. On the topic of casinos a little bit, I guess. It comes from Sin City, Las Vegas at SC Vegas. Says, how many days is too many for a Vegas trip? Nadu, what is the sweet spot for a Vegas trip in your opinion?
Well, it's a great question. I think it really depends where you're coming from. I mean, for me, it's a 6.5 hour flight. So for me, I would say 5 days. I think that's just enough, Then again, I also think we have to think about, if they're big time high rollers, what are they getting exactly? How much could they be there for 2 weeks is crazy in Vegas. I would say 5 days.
So
4
nights, you think?
5 days, 4 nights. Yeah.
6.5 hour flight, 4 hours for Joey K. A lot longer via, Greyhound train or car or any of that. If, for people that use those methods of transportation there. But I will say, I can't really justify more than like 3. And this is, I don't want to get into the whole, what we've done the old, like what happened to Vegas thing. And it's, if in the olden days, when I'm dated now, I'm going to, sound like the old guy in the panel here where 15 years ago, 1, I was a lot younger. 2, some of that old Vegas stuff was in there. The cheap buffets, the cheap drinks, all that stuff where you had it. Now I kind of feel like I'm getting price gouged and getting it stuck in me, and not that I'm paying for, I'm paying for it and I'm not paying for it, you know what I'm saying? So, I think I agree with Nadu. 5 is way I think 2 to 3 is the sweet spot.
I will also point out, in this day and age in 2025, one of the most overrated cities in the world.
Yes.
I mean, it just is. I have no reason to go to Vegas. I mean, I'm going to go to play in the World Series, stuff like that, but I have no reason to go to Vegas ever. I can bet with my state. I can go to casinos. They're all over. There's no need for me to go to Vegas anymore. 10, 15 years ago, okay. But
if BetBash wasn't there, the conference wasn't there, we wanted to go, I could see myself not going to Vegas for maybe ever again or any of that. It's just, I agree with you. The allure and the need to go there is just not what it was.
Yeah, interesting point about the price gouging. I don't drink, so I don't really see it that much, but I've heard a lot of people complain. I'm there too.
The resort, you stay in a resort fee, a freaking the buffet.
Well, fortunately for me, I hit up my pal. I took a page out of George GRP's book. I hit up my friend Jeff Benson, and he comped me a room, so I don't have to deal with that. Fortunately, I just punt it all away in the casino. So for me, it's fine. I don't really mind it that much.
Here's what I'll tell you, and I mean this: Atlantic City, I will give you a way better time than in Vegas. I'll tell you that right now.
I've been to AC for I've been there. My family likes to go there. Honestly, it wasn't that special to me.
Here's what I'll tell you: it's not a it's an ugly, bad city, but there's a lot of beauty in it. I'm talking about realizing there's a beach, realizing you can jet ski, realizing you can get on a boat, realize all the different things you do. Look, would I say going to Pacific Avenue at 2 a.m.? No, but Same way with Vegas. But there's a lot more things you can do there. There's all sorts of towns you can go to close to there. Plus it has a beach. Vegas doesn't. It's 100 degrees in the middle of the summer.
I did Vegas a couple years ago with my now fiance. I think we did do 4 nights, and it felt like we were done at the end of the trip. I hadn't been before as well, so like going back, I would want to go back. But if somebody's been there a lot, I could see like not a huge desire wanting to keep.
How hard is it or annoying is it to get from through customs as a Canadian for you?
It's drummed up to be more than it is. Like you'll get busier times, but no, like I have a Nexus which helps. And I talked about that on the Tuesday show. You can do there's an app you can do to get like almost like a fast pass line for free, but it's been drummed up to be a much bigger deal than it actually is. I think like. I guess there can be lines to get into. So what happens at the airport in Toronto? You clear U.S. Customs in Toronto, and it's a section of the airport that is just for people who have cleared U.S. Customs. You don't have to clear customs once you arrive in the U.S. It's just beforehand. And I'm somebody who gets to the airport early anyway, so not a big deal. Like it has never deterred me from wanting to make a trip, knowing that I have to go through customs.
Speaking of airports, Joey, you didn't respond. Are you interested that I will fly in the next month? Are you in?
That's the rumor out there. You know what? There's some people that have their skepticism, have their doubts. But I think this is really the true test for I might even have some people head out to there to watch it happen.
I'm gonna say is all you fuckers better walk this shit back.
The problem is, Nadu, I think you've made it such a point that they'll never walk it back. Like you have to like.
No, I told you it will be. That's why I have to go live. That's why I have to make a big thing about it because it's AI. It's not. It's always going to be something.
I don't believe you're on the no-fly list. I'd like to see a video of you on a plane, but if you say you're not on the no-fly list, I believe it. I want to make this clear.
You do know that when you go on the no-fly list, you're generally never removed from it, okay? You fucks realize that 2 years ago, I went to Chicago, okay? I have fucking photos.
You got a great mafia lawyer.
I've got photos on the tarmac, dude. What am I, in the middle of the tarmac taking pictures?
Why do people believe you're on the, like, what would be the reason you're on the no-fly list?
Because some shitbag put it out there and it's went from here since. But it's very offensive and it's, again, it's giving me problems in my personal life. I'm telling you. I told him that and I'm going to tell you that. And I don't want to be on the same list.
Other people are serious. You can't take Knish seriously, man.
I don't want to be on the same list as Muhammad Atta and fucking Ramsey Youssef. I'm sorry.
Well, I look forward to the video of you on a plane because I don't believe you're on the no-fly.
I'll tell you too. I'm gonna make it up big. I'm going first class, everything. Fuck you guys.
I'm excited.
I will say AI. We want to talk advancements in AI. 2 months ago, AI actually, if you typed in Jeff, they would say that you were, and now it's up where it says it's a stick. So I'm
gonna type it in. I'm gonna type it right now. Is Jeff Nadu on the no-fly list? It actually autofills to that.
It's because I've typed it in 800 times.
It says the list is not publicly released, so the AI cannot give a definitive answer.
But for a long time it said I was.
Yeah, it did. You're right. It did.
Now it's not public.
Would you reach out to Google and
Grok
get it changed?
Gives a different answer. Grok gives more of a answer that like it's kind of a joke with from Barstool Sports Time.
All right. Well, we'll just have to wait and see on that. That is the end of today's show. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. Please smash that like button if you did enjoy the show and help drive us up to 20,000 subs by subscribing to the channel. Rate and review 5 stars if you did enjoy. Tuesday, I personally will be working very hard because, Knish, this isn't my only job in the company. I am personally going to be working very hard to try and get the Tuesday show back in studio for next week. So if it doesn't happen, it's not my fault. That's what I'll say. We'll see you there no matter where it's being held.